Meet Blake and Tiffany. They are the couple everyone wants to be. They're always smiling in pictures. They travel to amazing places. They wear great clothes. They have a beautiful house. Blake is a successful lawyer. Tiffany is a popular influencer. They seem so happy, right? Well, hold on to your hats, folks. Their Instagram feeds are filled with pictures of exotic vacations and romantic dinners. But is it all real, or are they just really good at pretending? Let's just say things aren't always as rosy as they seem. One morning, I was at Blake and Tiffany's house for brunch. It was one of those perfect mornings where the sun was shining and the smell of freshly baked pastries filled the air. The table was set beautifully with an array of delicious foods and, of course, the promise of great coffee. Yes, celebrities, they brunch just like us. They laugh, they chat, and they enjoy good food in the company of friends. It was a scene straight out of a lifestyle magazine. Tiffany was showing off her new espresso machine. It was very fancy. She'd been raving about it for weeks, claiming it made the best coffee she had ever tasted. It had more buttons than a spaceship. Seriously, it looked like it could launch a rocket. Tiffany was so proud of it, and we were all eager to try the coffee it made. Suddenly, the machine started shaking violently. It was like it had a mind of its own, and it was not happy. It sounded like a cat was trapped inside. We all looked at each other, confused and a bit worried. Turns out, Tiffany had put salt in the coffee bean grinder instead of beans. Salt? Who does that? We couldn't believe it. Apparently, Tiffany, the self-proclaimed queen of coffee. She was so confident, yet this was a mistake for the ages. Blake just shook his head and said, "This is why we can't have nice things." It was hilarious. We all burst out laughing, even Tiffany. And messy, mostly messy. The kitchen was a disaster zone, but it was a brunch we would never forget. The great coffee catastrophe became an instant classic in our group. Social media is the ultimate highlight reel. People only post what they want you to see, the perfect outfits, the amazing vacations, the delicious food, but real life, not so much. Nobody posts pictures of their burnt toast or their messy bedrooms. Well, except for me, I do, because I keep it real, but most people don't. And that's why we get this distorted view of perfection. We start comparing our behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. It's not a fair comparison. Part 4, when date night goes wrong. One time, Blake planned a romantic date night for Tiffany. He wanted everything to be perfect, so he spent weeks organizing it. He rented out a whole restaurant. Yes, you heard that right. The entire place just for the two of them. There were candles, flowers, the works. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, it gets better. The ambiance was set to be the most romantic evening ever, or worse, depending on how you look at it, because sometimes even the best laid plans can go awry. So Blake starts telling this long, rambling story about a case he was working on. Lawyers, am I right? He was so engrossed in his tale, he's going on and on about contracts and depositions. His hands were moving wildly, emphasizing every point. Tiffany, meanwhile, is completely zoned out, scrolling through her phone. She was clearly not interested in the legal jargon. The poor waiter didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He stood there, unsure of how to handle the situation. I think he ended up joining Tiffany on her phone. It was like a silent agreement between them. It was a whole thing. A night meant for romance turned into a tech-filled, awkward dinner. Sometimes things just don't go as planned. Part 5. Life Lessons from a Perfect Couple. Today we dive into the intricacies of relationships that seem flawless on the surface, but have their own set of challenges and lessons to offer. So, what have we learned today? Life is not a bed of roses, my friends. It's filled with thorns and petals alike, and it's the balance of both that makes it beautiful. And all that glitters is not gold. Sometimes what appears perfect from afar may have its own imperfections up close. Even the most perfect-seeming couples have their quirks and their chaos, and that's okay. It's these imperfections that make their bond stronger and more genuine. In fact, it's more than okay. It's the laughter after an argument, the dance in the living room, and the shared moments of joy that truly define a relationship. It's what makes life interesting. The shared experiences, the ups and downs, and the moments of togetherness. So the next time you're scrolling through social media feeling envious of someone's perfect life, remember, you're only seeing a tiny sliver of the story. Social media often showcases the highlights, not the full picture. You're only seeing a tiny sliver of the story. Behind every perfect photo, there's a lot of effort, editing, and sometimes even a bit of chaos. The real story is much messier, much funnier, and so much more interesting. Trust me, it's in the candid moments, the unplanned laughter, and the spontaneous fun where true memories are made. I know a thing or two about stories and coffee explosions. Life, much like a coffee machine, can be unpredictable and messy, but that's what makes it exciting. Stay tuned for next week's show. We have more exciting stories and lessons to share. We'll be talking about cats who think they're dogs. You won't want to miss it.